Hey everybody, it's Shelly. Today's episode is with François Nadeau from Fromagerie Kapuskoise, the northernmost cheesemaker in Ontario. You'll hear us talk about that point, and François mentions Moosonee in another northern city. You could look that up on Google Maps, and they are further north, but they don't make cheese. So he's at 49 degrees latitude, and Pittsburgh is at 40 degrees latitude. We drove like 13 hours to get up to Kapuskasing, and that's pretty far north, I thought. But then I looked at a map, and when you start getting further west, the U.S. border gets further north. So, like, when you get to the west coast, Vancouver, British Columbia is pretty close to the border, and it's also at 49 degrees. Once you pass Minnesota, and then the rest of the border with Canada is at that latitude. It's at 48, 49 degrees. So that bummed me out a bit, because we drove so far. But when we were in Scotland a few years ago, we were at 57 degrees up in Findhorn, Scotland. So that was really cool. We'll get further north in Canada someday. So at the cheese shop, we got a tour and an explanation of how they make cheese. They were actually turning some of the wheels while we were there. Then we recorded while we were doing the tasting. So you'll hear him opening cheeses and you'll hear us eating cheese. You'll also hear his family around. His kids were there. Since the cheese shop is in his house, the production facility is also in the same building. So that was really interesting. It's a big place, and I guess it was convenient to have their home and the shop and the production under one roof. But I learned something about real estate in Ontario. Maybe it's throughout Canada, I'm not sure, but François talks a little bit about that. But since pandemic, it's not as easy as you'd think to just move to Canada and buy a house or land and build a house. It's complicated. I'm not exactly sure why, but anyway, that dream has been shattered. So it was a really nice visit, and the cheese is amazing. And I found out that Fromagerie Kapuskoise won 5 awards at the Royal Agriculture Winter Fair in Toronto, which just ended on Sunday, November 10th. So congratulations to them, and I look forward to when I can get their cheese again. They're not able to ship or sell in the U.S. yet, so you have to go to Canada to get their cheese, and you can look on their website and see where all they sell their cheese. I think a lot of places sell the curd, but if you could get your hands on some of their aged cheeses, oh, it's so amazing. All right, well, I hope you enjoy our conversation, and we are getting the part 2 of our Ontario trip ready to go, so keep an ear out for that coming soon. In the meantime, have a great week, and thanks for listening.
My name is François Nadeau. I'm the owner of Fromagerie Kapuskoise in Kapuskasing. So we started making cheese a bit over 9 years ago at the cheese factory.
You're the northernmost cheesemaker in Ontario. I'm declaring that.
Yeah, probably because Thunder Bay is slightly south. And so that would make it. For now, at the very least. I'm not sure when Moosonee will have its own cheese production, or Pickle Lake, or something like that, or Red Lake. But hey.
So where are you from?
Hearst.
Okay.
Born in Hearst, raised in Kapuskasing. My father is born and raised in Kapuskasing, and his parents were from Moonbeam and Matthias. So basically, all. From my father's side, all home locally sourced. I would consider myself more Kapuskasing, even though I was born in Hearst. I was often saying I was born in Kapuskasing simply because it's more my identity. And I grew up here. I even went to university at Hearst University in the campus in Kapuskasing for 3 years, after which I went to Laurentian, to Sudbury, and then I went off to travel, which got me into cheese. So,
what did you study at university?
History.
Okay.
So I'm I'm a history major, I guess, with a geography minor.
Excellent.
So yes.
So what made you turn to cheese?
I was traveling in Eurasia, mostly Asia. and I was 9 months and a half in China, and there's no cheese. That was a very I love China, hence the reason I stayed that long. I mean, out of 12 months and a half of travel, I stayed first arrival 4 months, went to Vietnam 1 month, and came back to China 5 months and a half. I decided to keep the rest of my travel there instead of discovering new places. I did not go. I would have loved to go to other countries as well, but I want to deepen my experience in China. When you start to learn a bit the language, it also helps to really be able to fully to stay longer. It's more pleasant to be able to stay there.
Yeah.
So yes.
And really get to know the people, and there's
to be able to speak it. So when I went to Vietnam for 1 month, for instance, suddenly I had a loss of communication. It's like, okay, I was starting to get the gist of talking to people, and then suddenly I'm lost again. So going back was almost like, I can speak anew. Not to say I could not speak in Vietnam, because there's plenty more people that speak English, for instance, or French in Vietnam than they do in China. But on average, from my experience at the very least. But the issues I faced was not being able to speak the local language. And China, I could get along at that point. So yes. So do you want to sample? This is a metogamy in goat. We don't seem to have the sample of the young cow metogamy. So this is it's relatively young due to it being a seasonal milk. We don't have it at an older at this time. We would usually have a sample of the young metogamy, but it doesn't seem to be present. I can have you try the 1-year-old metogamy and the 2-year-old metogamy. Younger would be around 6 months. So this is the 1-year-old. And this is in cow.
The first one was a fresh?
No, it was around 3 months, I think.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
And this one is 1 year.
Time is amazing.
And this is 2 years. So if you like it get a bit milder and less dry, then we have the 6 months as well, but I don't seem to have a sample.
Oh no, this 1 year is delicious.
And this is the 2 years. So this in the metogamy are all the versions we have in metogamy. So goat, except the 6 months. Goat 1 year and 2 years cow.
Oh, alright.
So this is the Kapuskasing. This cheese was initially, well, it's based slightly on the Montpellier, the type of cheese in the French, in the Jura in France, and basically it was a cheese that my wife, I met her in France actually. She was studying French in the same time when I was studying cheese making over there. And
oh wow, okay, and she
liked that.
From China?
She's from China, yes. And we were simply going to the same church in a sense, and she was au pair. I'm not sure if you know what that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And the family she was staying in befriended me. We talked. They invited me, and I started helping. I started going over there, and they asked if I could help with a bit with the kids here and there. I did so, and I ended up being with her often, and playing one thing, some things led to another, I guess. So yes, next one I will have you sample the Opazarica. This one is in cow. So there's.
I'll bring this over.
Oh yes, thank you. That's less risky. So that's the Opazarica, and it's in cow.
Oh, that's got some nice funk at the end.
So you spent a lot of time in China, and then you came back here and you realized cheese is what was missing.
Well, basically, in China 4 months I missed cheese a bit. Then I went to Vietnam, where I actually couch surfed at some French cheesemakers that were producing cheese in Vietnam based on the Tome des Pyrénées for the expatriate population mostly, although for some Vietnamese as well, in the northern part of China. And discussion with them, was interested, and then went back to China for 5 months and a half, which was the best way to really get me into, I really need this. And then afterwards I went to visit all multiple, 30-something cheese plants in Quebec. Taste, talk with some of the owners and such. Then went off to study in Saint-Hyacinthe, then Haute in La Rochefoucauld in French Alps. And I came back to process. I mean, as I mentioned, I did bifurc slightly with having another plan for the future in France, but yes, ended up being here regardless. So this is a wok sieve.
Your Pathetica has a really nice funk at the back end.
Oh, yes. A bit more flavor, and that one I find is the best. Like the Pathetica is the best for jams and things like that. With any heavy breads, along with nuts and dried fruits and such, that one really goes goes quite a way. This one is a Saganache. It's the only sheep cheese we have available at this time. Okay, I do have another sample actually. And this is the last of the samples we seem to have it ready. I can probably have it tasting the thing as well, but it's not something we're selling, the last one. Here we go. This is a Fresh Chèvre. That one. And this one is more of an attempt or something we might do for this.
It is. It's quite the softest chèvre I've ever eaten.
This garbage. And here, that one is technically not a cheese we sell, but it's something we attempted recently. And this is sesame seeds, so might as well.
Yeah, I like that Saganache too.
Does not seem to have much sesames on that one, but the sesames did influence the overall texture of the cheese due to it being being absorbed a bit of the moisture and influencing slightly flavor wise, but otherwise it's not an overall very strong change in the cheese. Like it has a minor impact which makes it a bit more of what's its own thing. So yes, that's the gist of their cheese samples, and all the cheeses are things we produce. Everything else is not. I mean, we don't produce technically the honey, it's my siblings, but not me.
So you go to school and learn about cheese making in France.
Yes.
And then you come back here and you open this. Was this building existing already, or did you build
it? Yes, it did. It was a house. I would not have built this. I mean,
this is pretty grand.
Really expensive. The buildings, I'm not sure where you're from?
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay. Because in these areas, buildings value less when they're built than when they're so if you have a plan of construction, it's going to cost you more than what it will be worth. The land devalues the buildings.
Okay. So there's not a lot of new development out here.
Not much, no, and that's always a bit of an issue because, I mean, the prices have increased a lot due to COVID because a lot of people left Toronto area and such due to the heavy cost and people being told you're going to work from home from now on. The office is permanently closed. Then they say, well, might as well go find cheaper rent or cheaper housing. So if you came here, let's say 4 years ago, you could find a decent house, no major issues, could have maybe some painting to do or things like that, for 70,000 Canadian dollars, quite easily. Nowadays it increased, although it's still much cheaper. So this building would have cost over $1 million to produce, to construct. I could not pay $1 million for that. Sorry, because I still had to do all the plant thing as well. So it was quite a cost to get involved. But no, this building was not near the cost of its production value. So anything like if I wanted to construct this, I would have been hundreds of thousands of dollars incapable of paying.
Yeah.
And
so you got this place and you
I
kitted it out for the factory.
We
for the cheese
reworked
factory?
it, so it was houses that the painting was there. I did not paint that. So they had this
A little Spanish influence.
Oh yes, they like traveling to Mexico area. So L'Oréal and Giselle Génier were their names. They had 4 kids, so it was, and they had they had carpets everywhere, but that's an old, more of an old preference, I guess. Not as constant nowadays. Needed to remove the carpets, needed to, for the outback, remove all the creepy, how do you call the walls that have stucco, okay.
So you make cheese,
Yes.
and so where do you sell your cheese?
Naturally, at this place, we do have many resellers, whether it's regional or elsewhere. Within the immediate vicinity, we have a list. I mean, from Hearst, Timmins, Madison, we have how many? I could find the list. Around 20-something people that sell our products. Down elsewhere, like in Sudbury, we have 5-6 resellers, and otherwise down south in Toronto area and such, or Ottawa area, and Tulin Island, Sault Ste. Marie, they all, or even Oxdrift, all the way far west, decently close to Manitoba. We have our cheeses available at different selling point, mostly in Ontario. Otherwise, outside of Ontario, we do sell online. We do ship for Canada wise. We can't ship internationally though.
Oh.
And we are provincially licensed. Hence, we're not technically allowed to ship big amounts outside of the province. And so, if I want to ship 20 kilos, is technically not allowed to Quebec or Manitoba, the neighboring provinces. But we are allowed to sell 5 kilos, so people can order online for that aspect.
Okay. The name of your cheese shop is?
Fromagerie Kapuskoise. Kapuskasing is the name of the town. Kapuskoise, basically in French, like someone from Toronto would be a Torontois, or a woman would be a Torontoise. Someone from Kapuskasing would be Kapuskois, and a woman from Kapuskasing would be Kapuskoise. As fromagerie is a female word, it's Kapuskoise, so from Kapuskasing, so female from Kapuskasing. Yeah. That's the gist of it. So that's the origin. All the names of the cheeses have rivers and lakes from the area. That's made basically for a bit of a sense of terroir. I selected only names that were natives due to basically giving a better sense of the area, because most French and English names can be easily encapsulated elsewhere in the world. If you Google, I'm using lakes and rivers, but if I was thinking about towns, for instance, Hearst, I would usually think of someone who controlled all the medias in the early 1900s in the United States, or partially in Canada as well, and of a certain castle you have in the Western United States. So those are names you would think of, and that's what you'll find if you Google it. So if you really want to be easy to find, I wanted to have names that would only be identified to these areas. naturally, if you look at Opuzarica, you would have a small village over there, or you will have my cheese. Or the river that crosses Opuzarica. So Opuzarica is named after a river. Same thing here, the Kapuskasing River. We named the town Kapuskasing due to it being on the Kapuskasing River.
And what does Kapuskasing mean?
Curve in the river, or a reflection of the river.
Okay.
So yeah, in a sense. And in the spot in which Kapuskasing is constructed, the river is basically, there's a bay of sort due to it turning around. So yes, that's the origin of the name. The only name I haven't been able to name, I've contacted different native groups for Wekusimin name. I could not find. I'm not sure if it's Ojibwe or Cree. And I've had little luck finding out. I know where the river is, and it's obviously a native name of sorts, but hard to find its meaning.
It's a good cheese too.
No, thank you. But otherwise, all the other cheeses that we have, regardless of having them here or not in season, such as the Snivy, I have the meanings available. So yeah.
I like that very, very, very much. And
Miss
you know, well, I mean, it just sounds pragmatic, you know, reverential in the first place, which is appropriate.
Yeah.
But then the payback of like, yeah, you dial that up, and you're going to come to a river nearby, or your cheese.
Yeah.
That's kind of that's bonus. That's
and
brilliant.
initially, you were mostly getting the rivers. Nowadays, you Google them up, and a lot of our cheeses end up being on the top search aspect. So, although the towns related to the rivers and are not offended, I mean, Opuzarica people are not offended that Opuzarica is now visual as a cheese, as well as their village, as well as the river. It's just an added aspect of their identity. Same thing for like town of Kapuskasing purchases a wheel of cheese once in a while for events, and especially when they're going off elsewhere and say, well, we have a cheese in our name to share and such.
That's awesome, yeah.
So I'm not complaining, and Wekusimin, it's mostly Moonbeam and Fauquier that are taking it in spades due to being, well, it's not a river in which any of the towns are beside, but it falls into the Groundhog, which is a river of Fauquier, and it's accessible by road for Moonbeam, and it was produced when both of those communities requested a cheese for their 100th anniversary.
Wow.
So, hence they consider it their own, and they are basically some of the most enthusiastic on it.
That's great. Well, we want to buy some cheese, but
Okay.
one last question. So, how long have you been here making cheese?
The production has been slightly over 9 years now.
9 years, okay.
Wow.
And so what's next?
Well, we're adding some cheese once in a while. We make attempts and here and there different things.
Like the one sesame cheese we tried?
Yes, of sort, and some are seasonal like that. Some will be seasonal due to the milk. Some are for events. So, for instance, any infusion cheeses tend to be event related. We have we've made tea infused, we've made beer, wine, Porto, varieties of infusions. We've also added dried fruits and things like that. So dried cranberries, dried apricot, and things like that. And they do have their niche for events. It's a bit harder to maintain, especially since it would add a lot of products in our aging rooms, and it's better to have it every few years because people are more interested in something they have not sampled in a long while.
Yeah.
So it's more of those rotation. Right now, I mean, we've invested recently unfortunately, you don't have any of the sample of the cheeses available. Well, we do have a bit of mozzarella actually. But Lumi style as well, we invested in a machine this year only. Yeah, those we're trying to improve what we have. We're trying to develop some new things, There's waves though, depending highly on, for instance, kids. I mean, we've got 2 now, and hoping to get a 3rd. But naturally, each time we get a kid, the rule is I need to make a new cheese. That's my wife's rule number 1.
Oh, so what cheese was for kid 1?
Kid 1 was Miss Navy. Kid 2 was the Illumi. Any of the fresh cheese, we tend not to give them native names, simply due to the fact that the people often have association with most of what we end up producing. Curds, mozzarella, halloumi, they're things that people know already. And so it's hard to just say, well, let's give it a name. It's better to just say, let's call it what people would recognize it as such. I mean, if you called the curds, for instance, Mataweshkuya or something, because there was a request, that would work well. It's Squish and Mataweshkuya would work. And that's the river in Hearst. And we're like, well, that's the issue of, first of all, people in Hearst know Mataweshkuya, but not the most pronounceable river name. And many other communities would not necessarily, even if it's all local in a sense, because curds are mostly consumed fresh. So you want to have it between a vivacity where you can supply fresh. But most people would prefer just we'll always call it curds. Whereas all the other cheeses, as they're not a cheese that people are accustomed to, they'll use the name, their actual name. The name will grant that. Makes sense. So yeah.
And what sort of cheese are you into? What's your
hard
go-to cheese?
Process. It's going to depend because they all have their purpose.
Sure.
Also going to depend on the lot, because sometimes I don't like that lot as much as the previous one. So some lot are better. If you want to ask me which one at its greatest for the lot is the most consumable as munching, like just eating as such, I would probably pick something. If I just had slices, that Kapuskasing would probably be the easiest. That's simply due to the fact that that it's not too dry either. It's something that's mellowish enough to not. But if you want to have it along with something else, it's not the one that will be the most proactive. So depending on where you want it to be identified as, I can give it a higher or lower note. As well, depending for melting, the best is Kapuskasing again. So if you want to make grilled cheese, that would be best. Okay, if you wanted to ask for which one is the best for, if you have, like as I mentioned, crackers, cheese, and actual like apple or something, or grapes, something that adds a bit of moisture, in which case you can add a bit of dryness. I would probably go more with probably 1 year would work well, Wapsimi, or second ash. And if I wanted to have something more for grating on potatoes or noodles and such, the 2 years would probably maybe my most suitable one.
The Matagami.
Matagami, yes. Or 4 years when we had it, but yeah, that okay. One is not available anymore. And my wife ended up, like, I started the process, but she improved greatly on it. I like cutting small wedge of potatoes, frying them out with some spices, herbs and such, and spices, and then adding adding cheese to melt inside, and then putting some herbs, like which one was it? Cilantro. But then she started putting the very old ones, and it caramelized. It made a crust. It made and that made it even better. It made this, like, it melts a bit, but mostly forms a cracker like with it. And so that's her improvement on it. You can add a bit of the younger one, like Kapuskasing, or meltier one, and that one together, and you can have a bit of both inside. And that's my wife's addition on that. So I liked in China they tended to cut a lot of this noodle very thin. That's how they could eat with baguette very easily with those, frying them quickly as well. But my wife just improve on what I worked on. So yes, I call it French Canadian cuisine, I guess. But the 4-year-old was unbeatable thus far for that, and unfortunately won't have it for a while because we're at 2 right now, the oldest. So.
Well, what about from the other side of things? If you had your druthers, what is the cheese you would like to be able to manufacture next, be able to make? What is your dream cheese to make?
Well, it would be nice to add the blue, just to have something very distinctive, different.
Oh, yeah.
It's not something it's not my favorite cheese, but as something that would make very different, then that I enjoy regardless. I do enjoy blue cheese. And it's not something I would probably say very often, oh, I want that today. But once in a while, like once every month or so, I would probably be on the pears are good right now. Let's eat some blue cheese. I don't know. I find blue cheese and pears to be. If the pears are good, then blue cheese is the best friend.
That's a good combo. Yeah, we enjoy Stilton.
There's 2 types of blue. It's like say that would be more kind to the forme de Montbrison would be of a similar fashion. It's not something overly strong in terms of blue. It's not like Roquefort, but it's something more of a mild tone. And yes, those would probably be what I should start with. Although the other one would probably be quite good to have more of a strong blue flavor, because that's what people that love blue like, and it makes the variety options.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It sounds like, I mean, you make cheese that people like, but you also make cheese that you want to make.
Well, yes, in a sense.
I mean,
every type of cheese is where cheeses I selected except the curds. I'm not a curd person as much.
How un-Canadian of you.
Well, Quebec, that's Quebec. Curds are Quebec thing. I mean, it does exist a lot on the eastern Ontario side, I guess, nowadays because of the Quebec influence. But it started out in Quebec. That's where it was developed as a manufactured cheese. It used to exist regardless because it's a byproduct of the cheddar production, for instance. But it was never something that was manufactured and like sold as such. Or something that maybe cheesemakers were consuming regardless sometimes, but not something they were selling out. So yeah, Quebec started that.
We have
Cheddar is a decent cheese. The thing is, what they often represent as cheddar is the craft one. The craft, whether it's sliced or not, or the prepackaged. Yeah, well, it's always the idea of those prepackaged plastic wrapped.
the single individual slices.
Yeah, and those things are you got the quality you paid for in a sense. I mean, when I was in France, that's what many of my classmates were thinking cheddar-wise. So they were, cheddar, that's what they put on hamburgers in McDonald's. Okay, well, you're thinking about craft singles.
You were in France. You were next door to where really good cheddar was made.
Yeah, but
of course I'm going to defend cheddar.
But the thing is, next doors, French just don't necessarily go to neighboring countries to go take cheese. That's the thing. I mean, they do actually.
Do not mix up my
They do actually. They do take from Switzerland, Belgium, a bit from Spain as well, but not. There's some German as well, but not English much. Maybe it's their what they recognize as being cheese as well. I mean, English have a reputation for bad cooking or bad food in France. It's just a joke of sort. Like many people say, French people surrender a lot. I mean, that's a joke, but that's not. I mean, it's one of the most successful military country in the world historically. I mean, if you look throughout their history, they have like 80-something% victories, and that which is more successful than many of the other, like England and things even.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a game or they are neighbors.
Yeah, it's a joke. It's like so it's stereotypes.
Oh yeah.
So a question I totally forgot to ask: where do you get the milk? Where do you
Our source of milk for cow, we got it from Madison, and so it's 2 hours that way.
Mm-hmm.
For sheep, it's from okay. Let me think in French one moment. Le fromage de brebis vient de Valgagny, comes from Valgagny, and Iroko Falls for the goat.
Ah.
So all within those areas.
So you have no animals here?
No.
Okay.
I'm not a farmer. It would have been quite a jump to start farming and cheese making in one go, not knowing much in terms of
oh yeah, that's a big.
You don't want to start everything at the same time.
Yeah.
No.
You start one and see if you can progress to the other, and probably better to start with farming if you want to go with cheese making, simply because. And that's the jump I see more often than the other side. I haven't seen any cheesemakers becoming farmers along with their initial business. But farmers, there's more of the tradition as well to have more family-oriented business where you can leave, okay, your children are getting an age where they want to take over a farm. I'll start something else to work along with the farm and maybe improve on what you can offer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Well, all right. So let's pick some cheeses.
Okay.
I think I want to get the 2-year Matagami.
Okay. Size-wise, you want something more like these sizes?
Yep. As opposed.
But
All right. I think
Yeah.
we got our stuff, Francois. Thank you
pleasure.
so very much for being on my podcast
It's
too.
a pleasure. Hopefully you've enjoyed.
With Bowl and Spoon is written, produced and hosted by Shelley Danko Day. Original theme song was written and performed by Paul LeBreeze and friends. You can listen to With Bowl and Spoon wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe, like, review and share. Follow us and send us questions or messages on Facebook and Instagram at With Bowl and Spoon. Thanks for listening.